Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host Hamza Chowdhury, and in this video I'd like to talk to you about the Apple stock and what we can expect heading into Tuesday's massive iPhone 12 event, which everybody's talking about. Everybody's really excited. As we discussed last week, we had a leak on the pricing of the phone, and obviously with the price action that we're seeing in Apple stock, I think there's definitely a lot of excitement. So with just that, we'll get into the video. If you're interested in what I use here, it's called tradingview.com. There's actually a link down below if you'd like to join the platform. It's absolutely free. I do have a paid membership, just gives me a lot more features and things like that, but you can see it's a very clean sort of platform, very user friendly. There's a lot of great training videos on it. And the best part about it, unlike Thinkorswim and a lot of these other platforms, is it doesn't crash on you. It's been super solid. And I personally too, share a lot of ideas, my own personal ideas on the platform that you can find here, which you can review other people's ideas and you can actually talk about them. So if you're ever like, hey, I'd like to discuss, certain trading ideas, you can actually do that within the user family, which is awesome. So I've loved the platform. I've only been a part of it for a few weeks, but it's definitely something I'd recommend. So with that said, what we saw on Friday validated a lot of what we've been seeing on Apple stock. So if we jump right into to Apple, on Friday, what we saw right at open was on the 1 minute chart here is we saw just a sort of a sell-off, an initial sell-off. We really had sort of flat action going in from Thursday to Friday. And you can see that a stock is really strong when you constantly see it bounce off the volume weighted average price. So it bounced off of here, and you could expect, as we've seen in previous sessions, right, that the Apple will sort of trade below the VWAP. It may flush. This may be the morning highs, and then it sort of fades for the rest of the day. But in this case, we just had these multiple bounces. So we're doing two things. One, we're validating the strength of the stock, where, remember, if it trades above this purple line, it's considered bullish. And if it trades below this purple line, it's considered bearish. So the two things that we validated was, one, it was just not able really to, it tried several times, but you can see it bounced off of VWAP once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd almost say almost like a dozen times it bounced just throughout the whole day. So we have this constant bounce, but you can also see the second thing, right? Which is what? Look at this top. Look at this top on this pivot here around the 116.50s. So this top here was the top for the stock for Friday. It pushed up and it came right back. It pushed up and it came right back. So you would think, okay, the stock clearly doesn't want to break it, so it's probably going to flush and come down below the VWAP. And instead, it actually validated a top for the stock and it validated a bottom. So we had this sort of tight range. And it wasn't actually till the afternoon, which was the final hour of trading, that we finally broke through this pivot. Look at the strong sort of move here to the upside, and this thing ran. I mean, it ran from 116.50 all the way up to 117, and after hours it went up another dollar and it closed exactly at 118. But what this tells me right here, this top right here, that this is going to be a great support line. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come into Monday and we see sort of a quick flush in the morning back to the 116.50s and test this sort of validation, and now you can see that what is considered previous resistance becomes now future support for the stock. So to kind of recapture what we've talked about in the past is we created this sort of wedge based on past highs and recent highs and higher lows. And we said that as soon as we sort of fill this gap in and we would break out. And we also talked about how the Bollinger Band, as well as the MACD and the RSI indicator, were certain indicators that were not necessarily positive, but were sort of downtrending and becoming neutral. And we knew that once they became neutral and they started uptrending, we can expect a breakout. So look what happened, right? So we essentially had this downtrend when we had the false breakout at 118, which we called. And then we had this constant bounce off this support, which we solidified at 112.60. And then all of a sudden, now that we've sort of gotten out of this wedge, you can see that the Bollinger Band, which you can see as the top band and lower band are closer, it forms a channel due to the consolidation. But you can see where is it? It's trading on the upper half of the band, which means that if it does break out, it's going to be on the bullish side. If it traded on the lower band and it followed the lower band like it did down here briefly, that means it's a bearish signal. So now we have a solidified support. We have upper movement. We can see this channel is starting to upwards. We also have this 20-day moving average, which you can see is flattened up, and it's also slightly pointing upwards as well. And then the RSI you can see is also pointing upwards, and now you can also see the MACD. So again, am I a perfect trader? Absolutely not. Am I someone who's constantly learning? Yes. And someone who's watching this is always, there's nothing wrong with being wrong, right? We can't always be right. But you can see if I have 1, 2, 3, 4 multiple indicators that tell me something, my conviction rate gets better. So what was I doing on Friday? I was basically selling my calls, and I continue to do that. And I held on to a small position because of a move like this, that we may see a gap upwards come tomorrow on Monday. And then I want to be able to capture that move. So right at open, I expect that we may sell off a little bit, but I can sell those contracts that are way in the money. And then as we flush downward, which I hope we do, gives me a chance to reload all my calls so that when we do go back up on Monday and Tuesday, I can definitely see a lot of this sort of pressure on the 118 and the 120 range be a sort of trading zone for the stock for the next couple days. My main concern right now is the back holders back here that we had sort of in early September, where imagine how many people when they saw the stock in the 120s were like, oh my gosh, the stock was 140, I can get it in the 120s, and it's going to go back up. So imagine all those people who've been waiting for this time, right? They've been waiting a month or so to get back into the stock to sell it off. So my concern is, and it's a very valid concern, is that once we get into the 120s in Apple, we're just gonna have a lot of selling pressure. So my expectation is when we see price action like this, guys, is that 116.50 will be our new support line. So we're not going to necessarily come back to 112.60, but when we start seeing that, you know, the 115s and 116s have been a great consolidation range for the stock the last couple weeks, including in the previous sessions in the second half of September. My feeling is that there's gonna be a lot of selling pressure, but once we can break through this, we can definitely see the stock go back to the 125s. Once we can get all the people who have been back holding in the 120s out, the next step would definitely be to get back right up here in the 125s, and then we'll continue to see the upwards the upwards direction on Apple. Now keep in mind, extremely bullish. We all know this is a great company. It's now valued at over $2 trillion. There's just a ton of great services and products that the stock has, so no doubt. You know, do I expect the stock to eventually bounce, especially at this price range? I mean, a lot of people can buy this stock and are going to hold on to the stock and are told to hold on to the stock by people like Kramer and a lot of professional traders out there. So no doubt that we have a lot of people interested in the stock at this price range. But we're just talking again about short day trade type of movements. Okay, guys, so, you know, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. If there's another stock that you'd like me to take a look at for you, I'd love to do that. And I'll see you guys on the next episode, and best of luck trading this week. Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.